Koikari Love for Hire is one of those visual novels that just knows what it is. It's a romantic comedy through and through, full of charm, chaos, and some surprisingly sweet moments between all the insanity. To briefly sum it up, Koikari is a visual novel about the protagonist needing money and he signs up for a rental person service, right? So he's a rental boyfriend and other types of rental things. Essentially just whatever the client needs, he is, right? For one person in there, he's a paramour. For two twin girls, he's supposed to act like their older brother. For Emmy, he's supposed to act as her boyfriend. And, he does other jobs like that. But it focuses on a few different girls in this visual novel, right? There are also girls that are in this visual novel that are options, but they don't choose him as a rental service. For example, we've got the two side routes that are two of Emmy's friends that don't know that she's renting you. But among its cast, there was one specific route that really stood out to me. Not the twins, not the teacher that you be a paramour for, not Emmy or her two friends that are side routes. No. The one that really stood out to me was Tenma Hosami. It's funny, it's messy, and it's one of those stories that doesn't need to be perfect to still hit hard. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that Koikari is some deep psychological visual novel. It's not. It's absurd, lighthearted, and sometimes just straight up ridiculous. But Hasami's route, it somehow manages to blend all that comedy with a real sense of warmth. Tenma Hosami is a popular girl in school, right? She's the kind and curious honor student that everybody likes. She's polite and cheerful and maybe a little spoiled from her rich background, and she's got this trademark Nyuhuhu'd laugh that's equal parts adorable and disturbing. Although honestly, I just like it. But that laugh, she only does it around the protagonist, Yuki. She's nervous when she's with him and it just kind of slips out, which says a lot about how she feels under that confident exterior. There's also a little moment early on that perfectly hints at the feelings that she already has for Yuki. It really shows just how deep her feelings actually run. Her friends mention all the love letters that she gets from guys, and Tenma says that she doesn't even read them and she just throws them away. You see, she doesn't care about any of them because in her mind, she's already found the person that she loves. And that's the thing. Hasami's feelings don't start in this story. They've been there for years. She was supposed to go to an all-girls school, but she chose to go to this school because Yuki was there. She even picked the same elective class as Yuki just so she could be there with him. She was happy just seeing him every day. But she didn't need him to notice her, she just wanted to stay close. But when she finds out that Emmy, her friend, is dating Yuki, something in her breaks. She panics. The idea of her losing him is too much for her to handle. And that's what leads to Tenma the badass. One night after work, Yuki sees this girl fall down and get hurt, and as he's the closest one to her, he decides it should be him to help her up, and turns out it is Hasami, right? But you see, this wasn't a chance meeting. He doesn't know it at this time, but she already knew where he worked and waited around in the area for him to get off, so that she could go accidentally run into him. However, she accidentally trips and falls, but this actually works out in her favor because it then causes Yuki to reach out to her first. It was all pure luck, but it worked out in her favor. That's what makes Hasami so fascinating. She's not just acting out, she's doing everything she can to hold on to something that she feels like she's losing. It's sweet, it's flawed, it's human, and it's one of the things that sets her apart from every other heroine in Koikari. Alright, so here's where things get a little bit complicated, and where I need to make something clear. I don't condone Hasami's actions in the common route of the visual novel. However, that being said, every single route in this visual novel involves some morally questionable things, right? Whether it's, the twin sisters that are having you pretend to be their older brother, leading to things, or how about the teacher? You're a student in one of her classes, not at your normal school, but she's your teacher, and you have a route with her where you become her paramour and kind of goes from there, right? Or Emmy, for example, hers is probably the least morally questionable, but with her, she straight up lies to her friends about dating you, about it being real, right? So, I mean, she lies to her friends. That's still very morally questionable, right? And then you've got the two side routes, which were less morally questionable, but they're also very, very, very short. So don't even worry about those. All the main routes have moral problems, right? So you can't just harp on Hasumi for this. But she's sneaking around behind her friend's back, behind Emmy, right? Slowly making passes at what she thinks is Emmy's boyfriend. So she's attempting to steal you away, to steal the boyfriend of her friend away. In life, in general, that's not okay, right? But what makes it interesting, and what makes her story hit differently, is the reason behind it. You see, Hasumi doesn't realize that Emmy and Yuki's relationship is fake, that it's a rental boyfriend situation. So while she's secretly trying to get closer to him, what she's really doing is panicking. She's been quietly in love with him for years, and to see him taken away from her by somebody else, by a friend, a childhood friend at that, it sends her into emotional chaos. And that's where Tenma the Badass comes from. It's not rebellion, necessarily. It's heartbreak in disguise. It's her way of fighting for him, of proving to herself that she can be bold, confident, and worthy of his attention. It's messy, but it's also human. And then when everything comes crashing down, when she finds out that the relationship is fake, she snaps. She confesses everything, but not in some soft, romantic way. No, it's raw. She's angry, hurt, and upset that no one, not Yuki, not Emmy, not any of her friends, noticed how she felt all this time. She says, "Why do you think I talk to you every day?" And Yuki, being the somewhat dense protagonist that he is, says, "I just thought you were friendly to everybody." And she said, "No, the truth is, it's because I like you." And she says, "Why did nobody ever realize that I had a crush on you?" That's also when she reveals the reason behind her trademark Nyuhuhu'd laugh. It's not just some weird habit, she only does it around him. It's what she does when she's nervous or embarrassed in front of the person that she loves. It's such a small moment, but it completely recontextualizes her entire character. All of those quirks that seem random suddenly make sense. They were real. Every laugh, every glance, every time that she found an excuse to talk to him, it was all because she genuinely loved him. And that's why this confession works so well. It's not polished, it's emotional and frustrated, and it feels like something that's been bottled up for years. Now, you would think that once it's all out in the open, that would be it, right? And that would start her route. But no. Immediately after this, Emmy confesses that she's fallen for Yuki for real. And you spend the final few parts of the common route, if you go towards one of them two, with them two fighting for you and fighting to become your girlfriend, right? And you see, due to the reasoning behind why Yuki needs money, he can't stop being a rental boyfriend or rental whatever unless he has another way to have money. You see, the reason why Yuki needs money is because him and his sister lost their parents when they were young, and relatives tried to take the inheritance and take them in, but he fought back and ended up essentially raising him and his sister up to this point. And he was going to enter the workforce directly after school, but then his sister dropped a bomb on him and said, "If you don't go to university, I won't go to university." So he decides, okay, I need to go to university, right? That's why he started the whole rental thing in the first place. Well, you see, only one person knows about any of that, and that is Hasumi. Hasumi has been there since they were kids, right? She actually went to the same school as him as a kid and saw all this go down by accident one day. She's the only one that truly knows the real him, and that's something I'm going to talk about in a minute. But back to the whole Emmy Hasumi battle thing, right? So essentially, long story short, they fight for you, and at the end, because you need the money, right? You choose one of them by either taking the credit card that Emi opened up or the cash that the rich girl Hasumi hands you, and obviously choose the cash, right? Hasumi is the best route. But anyways, after you choose Hasumi, Emi doesn't give up and she still keeps trying to go after you, and at first it can be kind of frustrating. It's like, okay, he's taken and he's in a real relationship. You were in a fake relationship before, but then you realize, again, Hasumi didn't know that, right? Hasumi didn't know that Emi's relationship was fake at first when she was trying to steal you away. So, it's kind of only fair that Emi is able to do the same thing and try and steal you essentially back, right? And that's what makes this part of the story so fascinating, is that in this visual novel, nobody's acting right, you know? Everyone's emotional, everyone's impulsive, and yet it all feels grounded because love isn't always neat or rational. Hasumi and Emi are both mirrors of each other in this route in some ways. They're both desperate to be chosen, both fighting for the person that they love, but just in different ways, right? The difference is Hasumi's love runs deeper. It's been there for years, quietly waiting to be seen. Now, I do want to briefly also talk about the comedy. This visual novel is hilarious, right? It's a rom-com through and through, and it nails it. It had me laughing multiple times throughout, but there's a lot of really funny moments in this visual novel, and her route doesn't shy away from that. There's plenty of funny stuff that happens in this route. Koikari doesn't pretend to be deeper than it is. It's self-aware, it's lighthearted, and it's just genuinely fun. Okay, but so far, I've talked about why I liked her route and essentially kind of chatted about this visual novel a little bit, but you might be asking yourself, what is the point of this video? Why am I, right, talking about this? Well, that comes to my next point. Let's talk about why Hasumi's love feels the most genuine in this visual novel. This is the thing that really made me love Hasumi's route and really made her routes one of my favorites in visual novels so far. Every other heroine, main heroine at least, every other main route in this visual novel involves the girl hiring Yuki, right? Directly from the rental whatever service. He's acting. He combs his hair back. He has gloomy bangs, and when he's at school, he combs his hair back. He tries to act more like what is expected of him in this role, right? When he first goes on his first date with Emi, he tries to act like the perfect boyfriend in this situation. You know, he tries to act like a great paramour. He attempts, although fails pretty quickly, to act like a good older brother to these two twin girls. I say fails because he realizes, holy shit, they're crazy, right? I'm not going to talk about what they want. They're a little wild. We're going to leave it at that for that one. But all of the other main routes hire Yuki directly through this service. The two side routes don't, but they're the friends of Emi who does hire you, right? Hasumi hires you to be her friend, but not through the rental service. Instead, she just knows that you need money, so she pays you to be her nighttime friend. When the other girls hire him, sure, parts of his real self slip through, but for the most part, they fall for the version of him that isn't really truly him. But Hasumi, she never got the act. Even when she saw him with his hair slicked back, she recognized him in an instant because of her deep-rooted love for him already. From the very beginning, she recognizes Yuki, the real him, right there in her classroom. Everyone else, even Emi, somehow doesn't realize that her rental boyfriend is literally in the same class as them every day. Yeah, sure, he wears gloomy bangs, but do you not recognize his face? Like, how do you not recognize somebody's face? I've had many haircuts throughout the years. Long hair, buzzed it all off. This that I've got going on right now. I wear hats and beanies all the time, sure, but not all the time outside of this, right? Everybody's gonna recognize me instantly. You tell me you can't recognize the guy you can't recognize him in your class just because he has gloomy bangs? He acts a little different, but he looks the same in the face, right? Emi even confesses that she loves him for real and still doesn't recognize him in the class. How much does she really love him if that's the case? Actually, speaking of that, when Hasumi confesses, she asks Emi, how much do you love Yuki? She's like, I don't know, a normal amount? And Hasumi's like, well, I love him way more than that. Right? And she proves it time and time again in this visual novel. Emi somehow still doesn't realize at that point that he's the gloomy classmate that she's been with all this time. But Hasumi recognized it immediately. What's great is that Hasumi uses this to her advantage. At first, she uses it to talk to you even when the others are in the room because they don't realize that it's you. And then eventually, when she decides that she needs to reveal to Emi's other friends that you're in a rental relationship with Emi, she slicks back your hair and shows them that it's you in the classroom, and then declares her love for you, and then announces the rental thing. And then that's where she's like, hey, I would never be able to actually fight for him if they think that Emi's actually dating him, right? But that's what really separates her from the others. She falls for the real Yuki. She doesn't fall for the performance that he puts on when he's doing his rental service. She loves Yuki when he's quiet, when he's unsure of himself, when he's gloomy, all of the above, right? She's seen every version of him and she loves all of them. And that's why her love feels so real. It's not idolized or conditional in any way. It's the kind of love that says, I already know who you are, and I love you for that. Eventually, Hasumi's route becomes less about chaos, still some chaos, and a little bit more about sincerity with the same humor that's in the visual novel, right? There's this really sweet moment near the end where she says she wants to have a happy home life with Yuki, and that she wants to do it as soon as possible. That ever since she first fell in love with him years ago, she'd already planned out her entire life with him, up until they grow old. It's one of those lines that's simple, but it really hits you right in the heart. And when Yuki asks if she'd be okay with him marrying into her family, she just says yes without any hesitation. It's such a small moment, but it says everything about just how serious she is about him. She doesn't care about anything other than just getting to spend her life with Yuki. Hasumi might act childish or dramatic sometimes, but when it comes down to it, she's sincere. She's been in love for years, and in her route, she decides that she's not afraid to show it anymore. Hasumi's route isn't the deepest story I've ever read, right? It doesn't dive into heavy themes or complicated emotions, but that's okay because it doesn't try to pretend to. It's sweet, it's funny, it wears its heart on its sleeve, and honestly, I think that's what makes it work. You can love a story even if it's not perfect. Sometimes it's the messy, lighthearted ones that stick with you the most. And Hasumi, she's easily one of my favorite routes in any visual novel that I've ever read. She's lovable, flawed, and a reminder that romance doesn't need to be dramatic to feel genuine, although it can be dramatic sometimes. Koikari knows what it is. It's a romantic comedy that makes you laugh, smile, and maybe melt just a little bit along the way. And Hasumi's route captures that perfectly. At the end of the day, I laughed, I smiled, and I fell for Hasumi's route. And honestly, I could not have asked for more. Thank you so much for watching. I meant to get this video done previously. I actually recorded it and partially edited it and then realized that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I redid the whole script and re-recorded it, and here we are right here. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you coming back to the channel. My next video will be the next episode of Let's Talk Tropes, talking about the yanderes. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe for more. Like if you liked this video, it helps out the channel. Comment down below if you've played this visual novel. 1, who's your favorite route? 2, why was it Hasumi? And 3, if you haven't seen it, let me know what you, I don't know, just let me know what you think. I don't know. Tell me you hate me in the comments if you want to. Tell me in the comments. You know what I think you should do? I think you should like the video, subscribe, then unsubscribe, then dislike the video, then re-like it, resubscribe, dislike the video, and unsubscribe, and then leave it there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time if you show up. It's up to you if you do. It's up to you. Bye.